Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Joanna Butler, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is able seaman Grace McCarter. We are honoured to acknowledge the visiting delegation from the National Assembly France, Mr. Eric Huet, Mr. Emmanuel Foucault, Mrs. Pascale Go, Mrs. Mariana Reid Arbelot, Mrs. Anne Junete, accompanied by His Excellency Mr. Pierre-André Imbert, Ambassador of France. We also acknowledge Vice Admiral Peter Riesink from the Netherlands Armed Forces, Commodore Robin Phillips, and the accompanying delegation. We warmly welcome members of the ASEAN Australia Maritime Security Research Program. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families who love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of St Mary's College visiting from Adelaide, South Australia, and students on behalf of Tumbarumba Public School visiting from Tumbarumba, New South Wales. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is got by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Students and those who are able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where family and friends could mourn loved ones, buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Gordon Hector Lawrence Halpin. Gordon Halpin was born on the 7th of December 1917 in Forbes, New South Wales, the son of Wilmot and Bernice Halpin. Gordon grew up in Forbes, where he likely attended the local school. He went on to work as a labourer in the area. Gordon Halpin enlisted in the 2nd Australian Imperial Force on the 17th of September 1941. He and another Forbes man, Keith McAuliffe, were reported to have enlisted as drivers in the motor transport section, entering camp at Darley near Melbourne. In mid-December 1941, Halpin was posted to reinforcements to the 2nd 6th Battalion and was detached for special duty. By January 1942, however, Japanese forces had advanced through Thailand and most of Malaya. The threat to the Pacific was insistent and pressing. Halpin was transferred to reinforcements to the 2nd 29th Battalion, and on the 10th of January embarked at Sydney, bound for active overseas service. He arrived at Singapore towards the end of the month, and in February was taken on strength of the 2nd 26th Battalion, which had suffered heavy losses fighting the Japanese at Bakri in Johor. The Japanese invasion of Singapore was swift and overpowering. Spread too thinly and over too wide a front, Australian forces were unable to prevent Japanese amphibious landings that were launched on the 8th of February. Amid the chaos of the fighting around Singapore, records became confused and there were difficulties in keeping track of the status of troops. Because of this, Private Halpin was initially assumed to have served with the 2nd 29th Battalion. It was later revealed that he had served with the 2nd 26th Battalion. Regardless, what is certain is that Private Halpin served with the 8th Division before being taken prisoner after the fall of Singapore on the 15th of February. With this, Private Gordon Halpin joined the 22,000 Australians, including 71 nurses from the Australian Army Nursing Service, who had the misfortune to become prisoners of war of the Japanese. Initially imprisoned in the sprawling Changi prisoner of war camp, it was not long before prisoners were allocated to external work parties. The first parties were dispatched around Singapore and southern Malaya, but Halpin had become part of F-Force, one of the last labour forces to leave Changi in mid-April 1943. Many of the men of F-Force were unwell before they even left Singapore. Isolated in far upcountry Thailand, remote from food and medical supplies, and drenched by monsoonal rains, almost a third of the Australians and 2/3 of the British prisoners would die. Air Force's hardships began when they were packed into suffocating metal railway trucks with little food or water. On reaching Bang Pong in Thailand, Air Force was then forced to march over 300 kilometres to camps near the border with Burma. Arriving upcountry in early May, Air Force was spread across half a dozen camps, progressing towards the Burma border. Halpin was among the prisoners concentrated at Songkrai who were forced to work under harsh conditions on the construction of the Burma Railway. 600 men died during the construction of the bridge over Songkalia River, which became known as the Bridge of 600. When the Australians arrived, Asian labourers occupying the camp were already suffering from cholera, which broke out in all of the camps in this region of the railway in mid-May 1943. By early June 1943, over half the Australians were ill and 7 had died from cholera. With almost no medical supplies and constant rains, the health of those who survived the cholera epidemic continued to deteriorate. The stream, the major source of water for bathing, became foul, and the hospitals were poorly equipped. Gordon Halpin died at Kami Sonkurai camp on the 21st of October 1943. His death caused by illness. 2 years later, his parents had official word of his fate in October 1945. News of his death was also brought by Private Keith McAuliffe, a Forbes man who had enlisted with Private Gordon and became a prisoner of war. McAuliffe reported that Gordon passed away in the arms of Private Ernie Spence, another former prisoner of war from Forbes. Gordon Halpin was 25 years old. Today, his remains lie buried in Tunbayuzayat War Cemetery. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Gordon Hector Lawrence Halpin, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozier, or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over, but in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.